you're going to do it, the audit should be worth it. The problem is, audits are hard. Yet we've issued over 20,000 reports to 2,000 clients worldwide.
For us as people that actually build controls and have to monitor controls and build infrastructure, this has been a major fundamental shift in what we do.
Cybersecurity and compliance will no longer be a mystery. Hey everybody, welcome back into our cybersecurity mission. My name is Allie Krings, I'm your host, and today I'm sitting down with Mike Wise from Kirkpatrick Price. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Ellie. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
You know, I heard so many rave reviews from the other teammates here at Kirkpatrick Price about how fitting your last name is, because you are probably one of the smartest people they've ever met, they said.
I don't know about smart, but at least I try to give some insights that help people in understanding information security. So you take that as for what it will be.
You know, I'm really excited about this conversation too, because for those of you who are just meeting Mike for the very first time, he is a principal cloud architect. Did I say that right?
It's a bit of a word salad, but to break it down, what I really do is I help clients and also internally people implement cloud infrastructure as well as implement the controls that help protect that cloud infrastructure.
Wow, I mean, it's so fascinating, and it is a little bit wordy and in-depth, so we're going to be breaking all of that down, but specifically, just a couple of weeks ago, you recently went to the AWS Security Conference, is that right?
Yeah, I went to AWS Inforce, which is really an amazing conference because it allows cloud practitioners to really focus in on security on the AWS cloud environment.
What was your biggest takeaway from it?
The biggest takeaway, like a lot of the conferences recently, is about generative AI and the security that needs to be in place around generative AI and how we have to kind of have a little bit of a mental shift to make sure that we're keeping pace with the speed that generative AI is creating new things.
Interesting. With that take, were you in agreement with that?
Yeah, I really was impressed with some of the people that were talking there. They had speakers from Anthropic, they had speakers from AWS, they had speakers from a lot of other organizations. And really one of the key takeaways that I took from it was we have to make sure that our security controls can keep up with what's coming out. So we have to change our shifts. So instead of things being annually, maybe they need to be on a continuous basis. So we really need to think about that.
And let's talk about AI for a second, because isn't everybody in almost every profession right now using AI in one way or another, and even just asking fun questions? So what are some of those things that we need to shift our mindset toward?
Yeah, that's right. Everyone in pretty much every industry is starting to embrace AI and use it in some way. And the key things that we really need to think about is, as an organization, what does the organization want to position itself in its use of AI? And then associating with that, what are the security controls that needs to be there? And having that overall governance of what happens with AI is going to be really a critical piece for all organizations going forward.
Isn't that so fascinating? I mean, how long have you been with Kirkpatrick Price?
I've been with Kirkpatrick Price for 7 years. I'm going on my 8th year right now.
Wow.
And even here at Kirkpatrick Price, we're really having to think about AI because it affects so many of our clients and it affects us internally as well.
Well, I remember, what was it, maybe 3 years ago or something, finally ChatGPT was just coming out and people started dipping their toes in the water asking, have you tried this, have you used this? And people felt really divided then because it was so fresh and so new. How have you seen AI evolve in your time here?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that changes AI is it used to be a fun thing that really nobody knew what to do with, and now we're seeing it as a business driver.
Totally.
We're seeing the rise of Agentic AI, which is basically agents are starting to do tasks that were usually attributed to humans. So now that Agentic AI rise is a big deal.
So can you give us an example of that? Is that like when I'm calling my pharmacy and an AI person answers instead?
That's a perfect example. So when you're talking to somebody on the phone and they're suddenly talking to you, but they sound a little bit robotic, that could be Agentic AI in the background. Or a lot of things that you'll see on another level would be when you're talking to somebody on chat. A lot of the first line support now is going to be Agentic AI.
Wow. What's your response to that? Do you think that's a wise business move? Do you think that's an easy model to adapt to?
I will let the business leaders decide if it's a wise business move, because you have to pay for it and it costs a lot of money. But I think from a efficiency perspective and from a perspective of, is this where the future is going? That's where we're going to be. We're going to see a lot more Agentic AI, and that's really where a lot of the research money is going. So you're going to see a lot of development in that. One of the biggest sales CRMs out there, Salesforce, they have spent a mind-boggling amount of money on their agentic AI. And as you can see, that's really what they're pushing. And a lot of the other big leaders out there are doing the same thing. And as agentic AI matures and becomes more efficient and better at their responses, you're going to see a lot of people start to adopt it.
So again, if you guys are just tuning in, this is Mike Wise. He's with Kirkpatrick Price. You're our principal cloud security architect. And we're kind of diving into some of those findings from the Reinforce conference that you were at. You know, aside from AI, what were some of the other hot topics you guys covered?
The other big hot topics was around like the releases that happened at AWS Reinforce. One of the big ones is public certificates coming from ACM. That's a really big one. If you know about traditional SSL certificates, we'll use the term SSL here, but it used to be that ACM was only for internal things. You couldn't use it for non-AWS resources, but now you're going to be able to use those for other resources that are not specifically AWS resources. Another big one was they released an agent for Amazon ECS that is allowing to do runtime scanning, which is really nice. So it's a one-click button install that allows you to do application-level runtime scanning for your ECS task definitions, which is really cool.
So, and why would somebody want that?
For a lot of people, we have to talk about defense in depth. So you have the network layer, you have the runtime layer, then you have the container layer, which is, we're going to talk about the runtime. So runtime scanning is going to help you out at that container layer. So inside the task definition, you're going to have that agent running that's looking for security threats inside of your task definition, which will help your security posture.
So when you were at the conference, were you, feeling like there was a lot that you could take away and apply, or was it just really good food for thought?
The great thing about AWS Reinforce is it's very targeted to security professionals, so there's always a lot you can use immediately. And this one was no different. We had a lot of different things to think about, talking about the AI side, talking about the non-AI side, and I think already we've had ideas for applications pulling out of the AWS Reinforce that we're going to implement at Kirkpatrick Price.
You know, would you walk us through that a little bit more? What does that mean and what does that look like?
For us, it's going to be starting to evaluate. So we're taking some of the ideas they've had, we're starting to do the evaluations, and then once we go through our obvious application development cycles and our change controls, we're going to deploy some of those things out to our environments here. Because we want to make sure that as a leader in our industry, that we're making sure we stay up to date with what the latest and best practices are that are coming out of the main service provider, AWS.
I love how you said you guys want to stay up to date on the latest and best practices because, you know, in meeting you, I know that your time at Kirkpatrick Price, you've been in a few different roles, so you've really had to expand your knowledge again and again and again.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I started as an auditor and I kind of jumped around a little bit, and then when I kind of landed in my current role, which is really dealing and focusing on cloud environments and cloud security controls, it's really helped me see both sides of the coins. I can see the auditor side, but I can also see the implementer side and understand like where the joining needs to happen.
That's so interesting. What do you like about your current role that you weren't doing as an auditor or vice versa?
For me, I love the design aspect. That's really my biggest passion, is the design and the research, because that's really what my job is I look at the different new technologies that come out and I help evaluate those and say, yeah, this is the way we should go at Kirkpatrick Price, and this will help us better serve our clients.
Let's get back to your conference again, because there were so many great takeaways that you're sharing along with us. Were there any tools that they unveiled that really just felt game-changing?
I think the biggest game-changing tool is going to be the ACM, but they also released a new network threat level monitoring that I think a lot of people will be very interested in. Because one of the things that happens is you have what we call tool sprawl. So you're going to have 50 different things, 50 different dashboards you have to manage all at one time. But what AWS has really started working really hard on is that you can have one place to go. You go into AWS, you can see all of your threat tools, you can see all of your monitoring tools, you can see all of your logging tools all in one place. And they've really been working hard to make sure that you have as easy as possible a way of consuming that. And so they're making some really big strides there.
You know, is this a conference that you would recommend other cloud security professionals are attending?
Yeah, I definitely would. If you have an AWS environment, I would highly recommend that you take the time to at least go to one of the AWS Reinforces, because you'll get a lot out of it, and there's a lot of different talks that will cover a lot of different areas, and you'll be able to pull something out of it that will help your organization without a doubt.
You know, with the talk about AI right now, how are you using that on a day-to-day, or do you not?
On a day-to-day basis, I think as in our organization, we're starting to do it at the level of it's giving us information. We
Yeah.
use it as a high-level search engine because one of the things that we have to do a lot is we have to consume a lot of information and we have to understand what is the best way to do something. So we use it in that manner, and that's
Yeah.
really where we're going. But as we continue to build and iterate over what we're doing, we're looking to integrate AI in a lot of different areas, and that'll come out as we build more.
So let's talk about where you see maybe this heading in the next few years. Do you see big changes in the landscape ahead?
I think you'll see big changes in the landscape ahead. AI is just going to get smarter. It's going to get better. It's going to be more efficient. I think what you'll see the big difference is where the human interaction happens with AI. Right now, AI is really a low-level tool, but you're going to see it at a high-level tool, and it's going to become a bigger advisor to a lot of different levels at the organization than it is now.
You know, so I'm sure when you're at the conference, you're listening, you're taking in all this information, and then you probably get the opportunity to break away and chit chat with the other professionals in the area. What were some of their reactions to the findings?
I think the biggest thing that everyone had to deal with, and that was kind of the overall feeling, was we don't know where we're going yet, but we're going to figure it out. That's really the biggest thing. You have a lot of people that are saying a lot of different things. We have new standards coming out. We have new levels of standards coming out. So it's really just trying to figure out, okay, this is where our baseline is, and this is where we're going to go to, and this is where we're going to progress to in the future. And that's always been the case with technology. The first couple of years is like a mad scramble. Everyone's throwing everything at the wall, trying to figure out what's going on. But as it becomes more popularized, more understood, then you have a real path forward. And I think that's where we're at. We've kind of gotten through the first years. Everybody's kind of has a little bit of AI in their environment somewhere that they're using. It may be walled gardened. But it's going to become bigger. And now we're kind of getting to the point where we have to understand the governance. We have to understand what our roadmap for the future looks like. We have to understand how it's going to integrate with all of our systems. We have to understand all the security controls that have to be around it. So we're really kind of progressing, and we're making that next level step.
So how intimidating is that?
I wouldn't call it intimidating. I would call it the new frontier. And for me as a
Mike, you like a challenge.
Yeah, I like a challenge. Yeah, for us as people that actually build controls and have to monitor the controls and build infrastructure, this is interesting. This has been a major fundamental shift in what we do. So that's always an exciting time. I wouldn't say it's a fearful time. It's just an exciting time because we're now having to learn new skill sets, learn new things. I have to learn what a prompt is. I have to learn what prompt engineering is. I have to learn all those kind of things.
How difficult is that?
I think it takes a little skill. I think it definitely is a skill you have to build, but I wouldn't say it's something that to be fearful of. It's just something that you have to embrace.
What maybe advice or support could you give somebody who's in your shoes and is feeling that intimidation? Are there any tools that you recommend looking into so that you can just have a better understanding?
I would say it like this. If you're looking for security controls that you can implement and how frameworks work, come to Kirkpatrick Price because we can definitely help you with that. We can kind of show you how AI is going to intersect with the myriad of popular security frameworks out there like PCI, SOC 2, ISO, NIST, all those, how it kind of plugs in there and where your security posture is going to need to be. But if you're looking for other security tools that could be native to the cloud environment, definitely go look at AWS. They have done a really good job, and they work with a lot of different top leading companies to implement security tools.
You know, Mike, I really want to say thank you so much for sitting down with us today. Is there anything else that you want to share just from the conference, or maybe just any big takeaways that you do have as a principal cloud security architect?
I would say the biggest principle is no matter how new the technology is, no matter how new AI feels, and maybe, like you said, a little bit scary, we still have to worry about security, and we still have to do the basic best practices that we already know. So we just have to adapt them a little bit to what AI is doing, and we'll have to learn some new things as well. But no matter what, we can find those controls that need to be implemented, and we can implement AI in a secure manner.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much. For those of you who have been tuning in, I want to invite you to either go online to kirkpatrickprice.com/podcast. When you're there, you're able to kind of fill in a comment section. Maybe you have a question for Mike specifically about AI or about AWS. We always always invite those. Or if you think of other topics that you'd love for us to cover on our cybersecurity mission, I really welcome you the chance to go online. So Mike, thank you again. I really appreciate taking up the time from your day, and my friends, will see you again soon.
Thank you.
When you work with a Kirkpatrick Price cybersecurity auditor, you work with someone who's been in your shoes. Let's see what the next expert is ready to share to support you in your cybersecurity mission.
Hello, my name is Jason Rowland. I'm the Vice President of Penetration Testing at Kirkpatrick Price. The topic that I wanted to talk about today was risk assessment. Risk assessments are extremely important because they really connect a cybersecurity program to the mission of the business. Cybersecurity isn't done for the sake of security alone. It should be there to support the business, the business's mission, and in order to do that, a risk assessment really ties those two together. One tip I would give people when undertaking a risk assessment is make sure that you have a solid asset inventory. It's fundamental to many domains of cybersecurity. But it certainly helps with your risk assessment as well. Using composite inventories from different locations, be it AD, vulnerability scans, or even cloud security posture management tools, is a great place to start.
If you want to prepare for success with regulatory compliance, visit kirkpatrickprice.com/podcast or the show notes to download today's episode resources. We're here to empower you to face your cybersecurity and compliance challenges. Are you ready to join a community of 10,000 people who are working together to elevate the standards for cybersecurity and compliance? It's free to sign up at kirkpatrickprice.com/podcast or check the show notes and achieve greater levels of assurance today. Thanks for joining us on our cybersecurity mission.